I mentioned earlier that Cade York, rookie kicker, 4th rounder, had a great start to the night, 3 for 3.
Second year
kicker. Sorry, second-year kicker. Why do I think he's a rookie? Okay, he's not a rookie anymore. He's a second-year kicker. You made the comment last night about don't use a 4th-round pick on a kicker, and it got into my brain that he was a rookie because who's got the 3rd-round rookie this year? Yeah, it is your fault. It is your fault that I forgot. So he makes 3 243-yarders and a 27-yarder. And then he misses 2 with the game on the line, 47, and they called it 41. I don't know how the math works there in the game book when it's a 5-yard penalty. But regardless, I don't know. I guess they changed the spot on the second one. But here's the first one. 2 minutes left. The Browns in a chance to take the lead, and he goes wide left. And then, it's the classic overcorrection. Boy, are they ever going to snap the ball on this? It's the classic overcorrection after he goes wide left or wide right. I guess that's considered wide. That's wide right. Scott Norwood, wide right. It's wide. It's Scott Norwood, wide right. Sorry, Bills fans. And the penalty had the 5 yards, and now it's a 41-yarder, and he overcompensates and he goes wide left. And he admitted he overcompensated. That's the problem. When you miss one, you got to forget about it. And he clearly didn't because he remembered I just missed to the right, so I got to kick it a little more to the left, and he kicked it too far to the left. So it's not a huge deal. The coach was fine with it, and York was fine with it, and he's got confidence, and he said he's missed only 1 out of 40 or 45 kicks during training camp, but you'd like to see your kicker make those kicks. It's a simulation of what happens in a regular season game. It feels just like it. It looks just like it. And you got to make those kicks. Those are not long kicks anymore. In the 70s, anything over 40 yards was kind of impressive. Nowadays, you expect guys to make anything south of 50. And I would have expected him to make one of those 2 kicks at a minimum, if not both. Although if he would have made the first one, there wouldn't have been the second one.
Right. I mean, they did have a penalty. The Eagles had a penalty. So, but yeah, you would have declined it. So you have to make it from 47. Right. Like, we know he is capable of doing things like this and this is why it's like, why do you think he's a rookie? But you forgot that Cade York beat Baker Mayfield week 1 last year, Browns at Panthers. He makes that 50-plus yard field goal. I think it was 57. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is why you draft a kicker in the 4th round, right? So he wins games for you. And then he kind of struggled through the second half of last season. He misses a kick earlier on in the preseason. Now you just want to see him go out there, do what he needs to do. He makes the previous kicks. And then he goes out there and he Lulus all over himself from 47, and then from 42 or 41 or whatever it was, then you overcompensate the other way. It's something where, man, if you draft the kicker in the 4th round, the kicker better be great. And you can't have these issues with the kicker because he's going to lose you a game. And the problem right now that the Browns have is that they basically have to have him lose a game for them, because otherwise, what do you do, right? Like, there's not like there's some amazing kicker right now on the market that just can walk through. Phil Dawson ain't walking through that door, guys. So you got to kind of ride with Cade York because this is the bed that they've made for themselves, and now they have to lay in it, right? So I think that eventually, they're going to have to do something about this, but it probably won't be until the middle of the season when he misses 3 to 4 critical kicks. And it's like, at this point, the kicker is actively losing games for us. That's the problem that the Browns are in because they used a 4th round pick on this kicker.
Well, and you're almost in the situation the Broncos are in. Sean Payton said earlier this week they're not going to bring in any competition for Brett Maher because there's about 7 true kicking competitions right now in the NFL, and whoever loses those competitions will become candidates to supplant Brett Maher. So he's competing with all those other guys out there that may eventually be out of a job. And nobody's going to try to trade their number 2 kicker. Guys are going to get cut. It's coming up August 29. And that's when these kicking competitions, if not earlier, will be won or lost and other candidates become available. That's why you don't draft a kicker, unless it is going to be a perennial Pro Bowler, a guy who is money from 60 on a regular basis, Justin Tucker, something like that. Because I think the mere act of using the draft pick on the kicker adds a layer of pressure.
It does.
And an extra burden mentally when you do get into one of these cycles where, I missed too far to the right. Now I got to correct this way. Now I missed too far. Now I got to correct this. Now it's in my head, and I'm constantly thinking about it. And, it's a delicate balance to have that sweet spot where you can go out and just make your kick, make your kick, make your kick. We take it for granted. It's not an easy thing to do. The guys who are great at it are just automatic. And once you get off that balance, it's hard to get it back. I think it's one of the reasons why Roberto Aguayo never made it in the NFL. A second round pick on a kicker? Are you kidding me? And it's credit to Sebastian Janikowski, who was unfazed by the fact that he was a first rounder, and he was with the Raiders for like 40 years.
He was worth the first round pick, but he ended up being worth the first round pick because he was that good. But I think you're onto something with the mental block, right? Cade York has been great in practice. He makes these things in practice. And again, he made the ones earlier in the game, but when you're in a moderate pressure situation, right? I mean, it's a preseason game. It's not a high pressure kick. But if you're in a moderate pressure situation, you have to make this kick. And I guess he just, for whatever reason, mentally, it's not there. And he's got to be able to get it there because otherwise he's going to lose a game. And you can't, if you lose games, you lose your job. Like, that's the way this business works. It is a performance-based business. And so I have a level of empathy for a guy like that where, you were drafted in the 4th round. You didn't choose to be drafted. You happen to be really good at your craft. And so that's why you were. But at a certain point, you're a professional, and professionals have to make results, right? And if you're not getting the results, then something has to change. And that's the point where the Browns are just going to have to do something to make sure he's comfortable. I don't know what they're going to do, but they got to do something because what they're doing right now in critical situations is not working.
And we've seen over the years from the Ravens, when you've got that guy that is automatic, it makes a difference. You're in field goal range much more easily. You know you're going to get 3 points out of a drive that otherwise would have been 0. And it changes how you feel about your team when you have a kicker that is really, really good. The problem is there aren't many that are really, really good. There's the 1 or 2 that stand out, and then there's everybody else. And that's the problem. When you're in the vat of everybody else, if you at any point get the yips, they're going to bring somebody in who they can count on to make the kicks. And it is, I say this all the time now, and it's not going to stop me from saying it again. Okay. It's all one big machine. The whole thing is one big machine, and every part is interchangeable. Every position, every part, every role in a football organization is an interchangeable part. And none are changed out more easily than the place kicker and the punter. And when you've got guys everywhere who can do it, there's always more guys than the NFL needs at punter and kicker. You've got a very thin margin for error, and they're going to find somebody else, and they're going to yank you out of that machine, and they're going to replace you with a part that they think is going to get the job done. If you at any point slip into that, I remember when Blair Walsh lost his way with the Vikings, starting with the chip shot that he missed in the playoffs in that epic outdoor Bud Grant in shirt sleeves game, and he never got it back after that. Never got it back. And the Vikings were patient with him because they thought if we cut him, it's going to wake him up and he's going to be great again, like it happened when they cut Daniel Carlson, and he's been a damn good kicker ever since then for the Raiders. But you keep waiting and you keep waiting, and you get to a point where you just can't wait anymore. There's too many other guys out there that can do it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Daniel Carlson because that's exactly the example I was going to bring up. I'm sure the Browns don't want Cade York to become Daniel Carlson for somebody else. But again, if he's actively losing games for you, then you got to do something at some point. But right now, I understand why they've got to stand by him. And I think that they kind of need to because that's the position that they're in.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.